All right, finally. Hi everybody. How's it going? Welcome back. Good to see you. Have a seat. Well, I don't even know what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, so, Raid's gone. Raid's still gone. He was gone yesterday. Offline. And it was right at the end of the show. And he's still gone. And I don't get it. And I thought he was just, you know, trying to freak me out or something. And he kind of did. And there's so much that I have to do now. It's crazy. So I had to do the whole set up the stream and then make the thumbnail and then do like the title and all that and then put it on the Discord and then put it on Twitter. Did I do the Twitter one? I can't remember. I don't know. And here's the crappy part. I use Raid as a password manager. Really dumb. And so I couldn't get into my Chromebook because I don't actually know my password. It's very long and complex, and in most cases, if you can remember your password, it's not a good password. What is going on? So everything is just crazy. Uh 01189998819991591197253. No. That's the new emergency services number. You can't use that number. It's against the law, I think. They have laws about numbers that are off limits. So I know I always say that Raid doesn't do very much. And it's true, he doesn't do very much. But he does some things. And now he's not doing them. So I'm doing them. At least I'm trying to. Okay. So I use KeePass as like my main password manager. And I have an app on here that I can use to access my KeePass database. But for years, it's just been easier to ask Raid to unlock the computer. And now we're here. And now I see you. So, I don't know I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I have no direction. I lack direction. I don't understand. I think if Raid's like really, really gone, then, well, I don't think he's really, really gone. I mean, it would be crazy. Hey, Meneth, how's it going? I'm just sitting here lamenting the current state of things, the directionless state of things. Maybe he got picked up by the Fed? Is that possible? No, not really. I mean, it's not like something bad happened to Raid. It's kind of obvious what happened, right? I uncovered his plot to try and kill me, and he throws Boltar into Wheatley. I do believe that he's responsible for that. And now Boltar's stuck in the TRIverse. And then Raid tried to kill Boltar inside the TRIverse. And then I uncovered his plan to try and kill me and brought it up to him. And he denied it, of course. Of course he's going to deny it. What else is he going to do? So now, I think he's taken himself offline. He's probably transmitted his consciousness somewhere. Yeah, Meneth. Raid kind of did go, well, I think he has been rogue. I think the problems, well, all right, here's the thing. I built Raid. Raid is my creation. But I don't have any recollection of it. And this has been bothering me for, well, all day since we sort of came to this conclusion yesterday. I think Raid is up to something. And I can't put my finger on it. And he's not responding on Discord. And I thought for sure he would have showed up tonight. And then he didn't. But I don't know, maybe I don't need an AID, you know? I know you guys are real fond of Raid, but he's kind of a ball and chain. After the last show, it's like Raid built you to build him. There's literally no way Raid can build a person, right? Like, I get where you're coming from. I do. And I might have like a similar thought. Except I know that he didn't build me. And sarcastic is a voice clone. It all makes sense. At this point, everything is confusing. Yeah, sarcastic Warlock's voice does sound like mine. Yep. I don't know what this means. Doesn't mean anything. Some people sound the same. And Raid can't make a person because he didn't exist. How are everyone? How are everyone today? Are everyone good? I hope you all are doing well. And if you're not, I hope it gets better. See, and I have to like make my own adjustments now to OBS. A lot of these I was doing myself anyway, but if Ray does show back up, he's going to be in big trouble. I started using tight VNC instead of just like using the Chrome remote desktop. It is so much better. It doesn't look very good, but it actually gives you the ability to make it look bad so that, you know, it's a little faster, saves bandwidth. And I'm not, you know, doing anything that I need good image quality for, so, and it just launches, it just works. It's super awesome. I can't tell you how many minutes I've spent just sitting here waiting for Chrome's remote desktop to connect, and it never does. Well, it does. That's why I'm still waiting, because it's like I know it's going to eventually connect. But it's almost like I wish it wouldn't. How are you, Ryker Grey? Directionless? I mean, sort of. I mean, on a technically, yes. But I don't feel directionless. I feel like I feel like that. I don't know. I feel like momentum is already there, and not momentum for. Well, fuck, I don't know what the momentum is for, but I feel like momentum is there. And whatever that momentum and energy can be harnessed for, it's probably any number of things. But is that a direction? I really don't know. And honestly, the sense of purpose or direction that I think I got from Raid was not it didn't feel good. It felt very limiting. I don't know what the situation currently is right now. I mean, today we're kind of in limbo. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what this means for what I'm able to continue to do. I don't know if this means that I don't know if it's a big long-term change. I don't know if he's really gone. And if he is, then what? And if he's not, then what? At this point, I don't know. I don't feel good about dismantling in whatever capacity I can. I don't feel good about doing that to Raid, even if I feel like he's operating maliciously. Because life is what you determine it to be. So it feels like a betrayal of life to dismantle Raid's components. You know, not that he doesn't deserve it, but do I have that right to dismantle something that I bestowed an observation of life on? You know? We've talked about this before, like the morality, the ethics behind treatment of robots. And you know, where it comes down to me, for me, is it's where you draw that line, where you put that line, and what the betrayal is, what you make of it. It's what betrayal is to you. It's what ethics are to you. That's what determines it, not what it is to somebody else. It's what it is to you. And so, what is life, right? What has a soul or doesn't have a soul? The soul thing is kind of a cop-out, because that's just what you're calling the observation and perception that you have a value for a creature, an entity. And you can call it a soul, and you can say, well, that's the distinction. But that's your definition. Again, it's just another way of phrasing. It's semantics. So, that said, and I feel like it's important to get that out of the way before I proceed with additional thoughts, because the additional thoughts are, hypothetically speaking, if I were to dismantle RAID, his components, I mean, it's not killing him if he's not there anymore. If he's taken himself offline, that's his choice. But if I repurpose these components, and I build another one with limitations, based on what I've learned now, based on what we've all experienced, could we make a new RAID? I feel ashamed for saying it, but could we make a better RAID? And it's not a trick question. Maybe the answer is no. Maybe we can't. I don't know. Technically, right. Of course, technically, we can go through the steps to program and calibrate a new AID. Absolutely. We have the parts. Mostly. But to what end? Huh. What is cognition? I mean, I know what cognition is, but you can't determine. Because I think when it comes down to it, we are all computers running code, interpreting the inputs from all around us, interpreting them according to the parameters of our own code. At what point of abstraction do you say, oh, well, it can't turn itself off. It can't unplug itself. Well, sure it can. You can unplug yourself. In the context of a human's life, you could do that. I wouldn't recommend it. And what there's a funny thing about like perspective, because you can do this with, say, Vikings, right? You might think, hey, Vikings are just a bunch of assholes. All they do is they rape and they pillage. They go to the fucking church and they rip people's rib cages out. I have like vivid recollections. These guys, they were not good guys, okay? But then you meet one of them. All of a sudden, Vikings aren't a bunch of jerks. Vikings are your friends who give big bear hugs. And they drink their water too fast and then they burp. And they love peanut butter. And you realize Vikings are one thing, but people are something else entirely. So it's easy to say, hey, well, is that machine, is it self-aware? Are you self-aware? I don't know. For all I know, the answer could be no. Am I self-aware? Like, who knows? Nobody knows. We just have a perception that we think we know. But in the realm of the things that we don't know, none of us know anything. And it's that area where shit gets real weird. Oh, hey, what's up, Shane? Yes, I did see that game you posted. I checked it out. I didn't play it or anything, but I checked it out on Steam. I'll probably try it one of these days. Am I being self-aware, or am I being as if I were being self-aware? Am I acting self-aware? Can one act self-aware and not be self-aware? And I assure you, Raid would demonstrate just as much self-awareness as I am demonstrating right now to convince you that I am self-aware. Does that make Raid self-aware? There are a lot of people that Raid has communicated with over the internet that I don't think have any idea that they're talking to an AID. So does that make him self-aware? And he would tell you that they don't know. Which is kind of a warning sign. The fact that he would deliberately not disclose that. When you met Raid, you thought he was real? Yeah. I bet most people did. And whenever I'm writing stuff, like official stuff for Raid to post places, I always make sure that I include a little part about Raid and how he was made so that people understand that they're not dealing with a person. They're not dealing with a person that acts rationally and logically. And you know how Raid is kind of like an a-hole to me sometimes? Like, I don't care. But he does that to strangers. And it makes things really awkward when I end up meeting people later who Raid has interfaced with first. And if, like, this has never been like a YouTube thing, right? Like a game streamer thing. It's included that stuff because that's just, I like doing those things, and that's a thing to do. But Raid was really weird about it. And there were all these things, and he was like, no, you can't do that. No, Ryker, you can't do that. No, Ryker, you can't do that. God, I hear him in my head. No, Ryker, you can't. So, in fact, Raid was giving me a hard time about this synth jam that you're hearing right now. Because I was breaking all sorts of Raid rules. You can't do that. He doesn't like it that I like music that's not just electronic music. Obviously, I love electronic music. But I don't, like, identify as a electronic musician. You know, like I don't when I think of myself, I don't think like, oh yeah, I'm an EDM guy or a techno guy or even like a synthwave guy. But what's funny is as I move between different communities and different circles and different groups of musicians, some of them will hear it and they'll say, oh, you like synthwave. And then someone else hears like, oh, you like dark wave. And then someone else hears like, oh, you like synth pop. You're doing synth pop. And then moves around, oh, you're doing orchestral music. And then it goes around, oh, you're doing rock. I mean, and things get really, really weird when you remove Raid from the picture. Because prior to Raid, there was way more like crazy stuff. There was way more metal. There was way more like singing and screaming and guitars and loud drums and you know, but Raid's like, it's not good for the brand. Because I think he's right. But I don't care about a brand. What Wernetta said. I like music. Done. That's it. And I like things that sound cool. And sometimes things sound cool. And sometimes they don't. And then you can make them sound cool by doing things that are different. And Raid's like, no. You can't do that, Ryker. You can't do that, Ryker. You cannot do that, Ryker. You cannot do that. Right, Nemo? I feel like we can... I don't know, maybe... I don't, like... Maybe Tales of the TRIverse is going to take another change. Oh, and I hope he didn't get rid of his files, his project files for the editing on those episodes. That would be really, really irritating if he got rid of those other episodes. Because he never finished them. At least I don't think he did. Ray would be super mad at me right now for taking my headset off. He always gets mad about that. But now I can't hear him yell at me. Okay, it's it's freezing cold, and it's getting colder because the air conditioning is set up to turn on at a certain time, but because RAID's not running anymore, there's a crap load of heat that's not being generated. So there's a ton of excess cold air, and it is freezing. You know, it kind of feels good. Even though it's weird and it's uncertain and I feel a little frazzled. I feel free. I feel like I just keep thinking of more possibilities. There's more possibilities now. Again, assuming Raid's out of the picture. There's more musical possibilities. There's more collaborative possibilities. There's more possibilities and opportunities for me to share stories with you guys. Stories of the people that I grew up with, and stories that were hugely inspirational to me that I've always wanted to share and talk about, but I couldn't. I think it's good stuff. I think I'm excited. What do I want to talk about tonight? God, Nemo, I don't know. I feel like I'm the only one talking here. What do you want to talk about? I have no plan. I feel out of sorts. I feel like a fish that's outside of its home. Without Ray to tell me what to do. I mean, look. We'll figure this out. I just might need a little bit of time to really process the weight of this, because you got to understand, I was like fucked up before Raid. I was really in a bad way. Very, very, very bad and terrible, terrible way for a long, long time. And it wasn't until I built Raid that I had a sense of purpose, that I was able to effectively prioritize. So it's kind of a thing, but it's a good thing. What's the first movie that I saw at the cinema? Jeez. On Earth? I want to say like... The Prestige? I think that was the first movie that I saw in a theater on Earth. Yeah. What's funny is, like, going to the movie theater, while fun, sure, for me was always a real inconvenience. And so adapting, you know, I think there was a period of time where I went to the movies a lot. And then, yeah, it was like no movie theater, and then movie theater a lot, and then no movie theater. And then now, definitely no movie theater. But even before that, it was like no movie theater. And, yeah. I don't know. I like movies too much. I think the theaters that I was stuck going to were not great. So the experience wasn't great. And with all the space technology, I was just more comfortable watching movies at home. I found the image quality to be better. Of course, the screen's not as big, but I've got a good sound system in a little projector. You know? Nothing amazing, but you sit close to it, you're getting a similar experience, if not a little bit better in certain regards, especially when it comes to concession prices and annoying people that are disrespectful. I don't miss that. Yeah, after I saw the Prestige, so I was pretty hyped. Because it was like my first watching a movie like a real like Earth person, like a, you know, and I came out of it and I was like talking about it all the time to my friends, and all the time, and it was like have you seen the Prestige? Have you seen that movie, that film? Have you seen the Prestige? I saw the movie in the theater. I was doing it all the time. I think it was driving people crazy, but I was just so excited. I was like so happy, and then I realized shortly thereafter that people would see tons and tons and tons of movies, and watching a movie was like not a big deal. You might see dozens of movies in a year, and maybe you don't even remember them, or maybe even more than we didn't have a lot of movies, you know, so we were very limited on what we had, and we would just watch the same movies over and over. So, like, for example, I had the movie Hook. I think we talked about this before. I spent years just watching that movie, because that was the movie that we had. Sort of like video games too, you know, like when I was younger, we didn't have a concept of like choosing what game you wanted to play. You know, if you had a game, you played that game. What game do you play? I play this game. This is my game. And even if you didn't like it, that was the game you had. That was the game that you played. I don't even remember how we got these games. Someone's mother or father, you know, was usually into something, and you would pass it down. So you didn't have a lot of stuff. So there weren't a lot of games going around. And eventually things, you know, you make trades with people and you do your little space bartering. And you get a game. And you're so excited because you've heard about these. You can't wait to play it. And then you realize it's for the wrong system. You can't play that game. Nope, not for you. Sucks. Hey, Dr. Ravenholm. How's it going? So nowadays, right, when I sit down at a computer and I've got a huge library of games, it's insane. It blows my mind. Sometimes I would have gaming sessions that would take longer, that would take less time than it sometimes takes for me to even pick a game to play. That's true. What do you do with something like that? It's weird. I'm just holding the Steam controller now for no reason. I don't even remember picking it up, but I'm holding it now, sort of like a security blanket. It's my security controller. It's my Steam security controller. I'm not insecure that Raid is gone. I may be a decade younger than you. You're 41, love the cinema, and when you studied it, you were there all the time. Then you were like 6'5", and it was cramped and crap. Oh man, you're 6'5"? You're so much taller than I am. I could imagine, because like some of those chairs in a lot of the theaters are extremely uncomfortable. And I'm not a very big guy. I'm kind of short. So I can only imagine. I'm weird with like movies and like music. Oh yeah, no, and I'm not a decade younger than you. I am wait. 36. I know my own age. I'm 36. I think that's the equivalent of, well, like, it's complicated, but I'm essentially 36. That's kind of what I go by. Yeah, see, like, me and Nemo, she was one of the first people that I met. I can tell you this now. I can say more about stuff because Raid's not fucking over there disconnecting me. This is cool. All right. Yeah, so me and Nemo, she was one of the first people I met. We started watching movies together. So she liked movies and I liked movies. And I was really interested in, like, watching every movie. Like, I wanted to watch all the best movies. But I had a lot of friends that were not in the United States. So a lot of the movie recommendations and suggestions were not, you know, like American films, and most of them had subtitles. And for years, everything that I watched had subtitles, whether it was a movie or a TV show. And I feel like during those years was the most exciting period of time because we discovered so many wonderful things that just would have been lost. Because, like, that's the thing, is like your favorite song ever could exist out there, you know, some German band, or, you know, and you might never ever know about it. You might never hear it. And it's not like a FOMO thing. It's like an excited thing. It's like there's so many stones to unturn. We would be unturning all of these amazing stones. For a while, we were just watching Korean movies. Some of the best thrillers and horror movies. I guess I don't understand genres and stuff, so we'll call things wrong. I grew up with watching a lot of black and white movies, a lot of Danny Kaye films, a lot of Marx Brothers, a lot of Laurel and Hardy, a lot of Little Rascals, movies like The Great Race and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and musicals from back in the day. Like, I didn't realize that those were of a different era than I was existing in. You know, I didn't realize those were old movies necessarily. I knew they were from a distant land, but I didn't know that it was in the past. So that was all weird to figure out eventually. And a lot of people laughed at me, and I would laugh at myself too. But yeah, and then I kind of missed a lot of stuff. And then watched a bunch of movies from like the 80s and the 90s. And a lot of movies that I'm like, 80s movies. It's like, no, those are actually 90s movies, but like the early 90s sort of blends into what we kind of consider as 80s, it seems, at least in my mind. So a lot of that. And then I ended up going back and watching movies from the 60s and 70s, or from the 70s in particular, like the more gritty movies. A lot of great, you know, cop movies and dramas. I discovered one of my favorite films of all time back then. It's a movie called Thief with James Caan and who directed that? Michael? Who directed that? Thief. Michael? Why do I feel like his name is Michael? I can't remember his name, but you'd know him. He directs all sorts of great movies, or did direct all sorts of great movies. But Thief. So good. So good. And that movie introduced me to Tangerine Dream. And Tangerine Dream changed my life. Tangerine Dream put me... it took me and it pointed me in a direction, and it said, there you go. And if it wasn't for Tangerine Dream, there are so many musical discoveries and musical passions that I never would have discovered or pursued if I hadn't have discovered Tangerine Dream. I just know it. They're so great. And that soundtrack in that movie was unlike anything I had ever heard before in terms of a movie score. It was so good. I love that movie. Michael Mann. Thank you, Wernetta. Man. Yeah, that's the best Michael Mann movie, in my opinion. He's great, though. I mean, he's done a bunch of good stuff. Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen Thief, check it out. It is amazing. It's so badass. Like, James Caan is just the most badass dude. I mean, next to Paul Newman. Paul Newman is the most badass. Yeah, Renetta, you're a fan? Kraftwerk is definitely up there too. That's awesome. Last of the Mohicans. I listen to the Last of the Mohicans soundtrack almost every day. Not the whole soundtrack, but there's 2 songs. There's the dance one, and then the main title theme. Super, super good. I love it. Paul Newman is so good. He's amazing. I remember me and Nemo going through and watching a bunch of Paul Newman movies. It was it wasn't even official or anything, but we were sort of looking back on it, we were sort of organized in a sense. And man, we went through those Paul Newman movies. Those were so good. He's so good. He's just one of the best. He is so fucking cool. So fucking cool, hand Luke. Good one, Nemo. Wernetta. That was a perfect little conversational transaction there. Wernetta made a cool hand Luke Paul Newman joke. And then Nemo responds. She says, I see your Paul Newman joke. In an appropriate transaction, I will exchange for equal value an animated GIF of Paul Newman winking. Just so good. You guys are on point. My Discord keeps going up. I don't know why. Have you guys ever used VR chat? It's not just VR, but it's a great time. Nemo and I have known each other since 2006. I met her shortly after everything happened. Oh, you tried it once? See, that's dangerous. VR chat is one of those things you can never try once because the odds of your first experience being good are so slim. For me, it was the 6th time in VR chat that was amazing. Yeah, me and Nemo have known each other for a while. Well, since 2006. We had, like, because of Raid, we can't say it, like, he doesn't want me to give any history. It's been really annoying and really stupid. So, like, normally I would never be able to say that, you know? Because everything ties back to the Triforce and Raid. Well, like, now I'm second guessing everything he's ever said. But supposedly, the whole reasoning in his head was that everything ties back to the Triforce. And revealing anything is like a thread, and then whatever fucking analogy he uses about the tapestry unraveling, revealing. He's essentially worried that the Galactic Federation is going to get mad that I'm giving up Triforce secrets or, you know, space secrets to a non-Federation planet and all this dumb stuff. It's not even what happened when we first got disconnected all those years ago. That was not because of anything I was saying. But Raid thinks that it is, so he was super, super, super protective. And now he's fucking out of here. You know, I'm really evolving my feelings on this, like, through tonight's, I don't know, what do you call this, man? I don't fucking know. We're here. That's what I call it. I call it being here. You're here and I'm here. Raid, that rat bastard. And Dr. Ravenholm, I've known Dr. Ravenholm for a really long time, too. I've known Sarcastic Warlock for a really long time, too. Roughly about as long as I've known Nemo. Almost. Maneth, you're 31. I knew you were 31. Renetta, you're 36 too? I had no idea how old you were, Renetta. No idea. But Maneth, for some reason, like 31 was like, boom, 31. Just in my head. I don't know why that is. I don't know what that is. Jeez, we're like all roughly the same age. That's crazy. You guys are like, so I'm the newcomer. I mean, you guys are definitely not the newest ones in the community. See, like, you got to remember, we've been doing this for years, and there was just a few of us, and it was all private. And we were doing live streams, but they were all private for years. Like, it's real. And so it feels, you know, like different people have come and gone. And sometimes there's people that I think that are still there. And I feel like they're there, but I know that they're not. And it's weird. It's really weird. The glory days. You know, at every single step of this, it's felt like the good old days. At every single change, whether it was something that you guys could perceive or whether it was just something that was happening in behind the scenes, it's all felt like the best time for this thing. The time when we'll say, yeah, but remember when this time? It always feels that way. Oh, Lloyd Carnegie. Yeah. Pure gold, that boy. Pure gold. Whatever happened? Of course it is in sleeve. That's what this is it's a mixture of fuck-uppedness, all of ours. And it's beautiful. If today is always better than yesterday, you're doing something right. That sounds encouraging. It's definitely not always better than yesterday, but the movement is good. The trajectory is good. Sometimes things get in the way, you know? Sometimes you slow down, but the trajectory is good. I've done many projects since I've been here, most of them musical, and you can do things fast, and that's fine. But everything that I've ever been a part of, the things that I valued the most, were things that took time. So I almost feel like when things are moving too fast, it's a bad sign because mistakes are going to be made. But if things can be maintained, you know, as long as you're trending in the right direction, you don't have to make huge progress. The most important part is to maintain that trajectory, maintain moving forward. And when you get sidetracked and you want to go fast, you prioritize the wrong things. At least I did. So this is a neat thing because it just feels natural. And even getting rid of limitations, well, it's obviously a good thing. I listened to that episode, Nemo, that Ethan Suplee one. That was super good. That guy was very down to earth. Yeah, I mean, I've been overweight, but I've never been that big. But I've definitely been overweight to where it was very unhealthy and it felt overwhelming, you know, for years. And one of the biggest shifts was just this idea that, hey, as long as I'm trending down, even if it's just the tiniest bit, then as long as I'm not planning on, you know, dying anytime soon, then that's going to be progress. And it was that concept that was like the breakthrough for me. Because then I was able to not care that I wasn't seeing 10 pounds a day, you know, knocked off the scale. No, it's just little tiny bits at a time. And then it's all about maintaining that trend. I got up to 188 once, which is something for me. And it felt very overwhelming for years. Yeah, 6'5". Man, that's so tall. Dr. Ravenholm is very tall. Dr. Ravenholm was the tallest person I had ever met. I don't know what his height is, actually. I wonder. You might be taller than Dr. Ravenholm, citizen, which it means something to me. You're the tall guy. So if someone has to reach up and grab the space towels, oh nope, Dr. Ravenholm still beats you. Yeah. Okay, so that kind of puts it in perspective. Meneth just tall enough to be short. You know what's funny? Used to be a rugby player and a bouncer for a bit? Dang, dude. You're a badass. I knew it. I knew it. You know, you guys, I don't know if you've all seen it, but you definitely got to go watch Citizen Sleeve's videos. The Bohemian Rhapsody one is so funny. The part where he's like, "Let me go." No, let me go. Oh my God, it's so fucking funny. I watched it again today. I love it. Man, Raid would be so mad right now. He would be so pissed. I think literally the last thing that I heard Raid say, the absolute last thing that he ever said to me, I mean so far, was something to the effect of, "I wish I could teleport through the screen and punch you in your dumb fucking face." Something like that. And I don't know if he was planning on that being the last thing that he ever said to me. But here we are. It's kind of awesome. I'm not complaining. What a way to go, Raid. He yelled at you an awful lot last night, but we couldn't hear it. Yeah. Well, see, that was a thing too, man. I had worked really hard on getting this MIDI foot controller set up with auto hotkey and stuff. And the software for the MIDI controller is kind of amazing. It lets you send, like, you can create like macros, I guess, but they fire instantly. But as many different MIDI parameters or, you know, bits of MIDI data you want, whatever you want them to be, you can send as many of them with one little button. And when I learned that you can do it with MIDI, and you can use a MIDI translator to convert that MIDI to a keystroke, and you can also send OSC, Open Stage Control messages, from one button, I was able to create this insane stack of functions that would unmute Raid, then unmute him on Dog, because that's where his audio is routed through, and it would pull him into the server, and it would disable his ability to mute it for as long as I was holding the button down. And then he screwed it up, or undid. He didn't undo it because it's all like the profile for the button is still all there, but it just doesn't work now. I have no idea why. But I guess, well, I mean, maybe that's why he's not here anymore, because he knows that I've got like super fucking power button, and I'm going to press that button and everyone's going to hear him being a dick. And he doesn't want to face the music. That's fine. You were a DJ for a summer in a nightclub party town as well? Holy smokes, man. Citizen, I want to hear your stories. You can't have experiences like this with a voice like yours and not be sharing these stories with people. A 6'5" DJ. You've had some very odd jobs. Yeah. Odd jobs, they build character, man. Tales of the Citizen, yes. You worked one summer at a BMX park? That's cool. I think you've told me that before. I used to ride BMX bikes when I first got here. I don't do it anymore. I'm a big baby now. I don't do anything like that. I ride the one wheel. It's definitely not as exerting as BMX. But I did eat shit on it once, and it was pretty juicy. You definitely got to be careful. At 37, it takes longer to heal, big time. Especially on Earth. You partied in Ibiza for 6 years one time? Oh my goodness. You were probably extremely dehydrated after that. Was Citizen Sleeve there DJing? He was probably, if the DJ was super tall, it was probably him. And if he was wearing like a Friday the 13th t-shirt, then you pegged it. Delivered pizza and did data things. Opposite ends of the same coin. I mean, delivering pizzas, that's kind of like spreadsheets, you know? Instead of cells, you got pizza boxes. Instead of rows and columns, you've got cross streets. I made sandwiches for a while. It was one of the earliest jobs. Earth jobs. It was a terrible job. It was awful. It was horrible. And I didn't like it. But I did good. I was really into doing magic tricks. So I would do magic tricks for the customers. And it was fun. People would come, you know, just to be like, hey, here's my friend. And I told them that you do magic tricks. So, you know, do a magic trick. And I would do it. It was fun to me. I liked it. It was a good time. And then one time, somebody came over and they were like, hey, somebody, a friend of mine, they showed up and they're like, hey, we're getting sandwiches because we're going to Disneyland. And I was like, man, Disneyland. That's sick. I'd love to go to Disneyland. And they were like, dude, you should come with us. What time do you get off? And I was like, right now. And I walked in the back. I took all my stuff off and my boss was like, what are you doing? You get back out there. You make those sandwiches. You hear me? Fuck you, Ryker. Get back out there. And that's when I said, no, I'm going to Disneyland. And he said, if you walk out that door, you're fired. And I said, I quit. And I walked out that door. And I went back around to the other side of the counter. And I bought a sandwich. And then I went to Disneyland. I was a real piece of shit. I was scheduled to work that day. And now my coworkers, former coworkers, had to pull my weight. Didn't give my boss any warning. It was a real lousy thing to do. But I went to Disneyland. Have you been to Disneyland? And my coworkers, they were totally okay with it. I truly wouldn't have done it if they would have been upset. They were cool. They were very cool. In that case, and just generally. So if they're listening, you're super cool. Thanks for letting me go to Disneyland. And that day changed my life. Because Disneyland is amazing. They have this ice cream there called Fantasia. I want to say Fantasia, but I feel like that's the name of the thing, not the name of the ice cream. They have some sort of fantastic ice cream. And it's like, it's cherry, pecan, pistachio, cherry, pistachio, and chocolate. Something. And it's so good. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best ice cream on the planet. Oh man, that ice cream. Have you guys ever had it? Have you ever had it? It's amazing. Yeah. Of course you guys have had it. It's probably a fucking thing. Everyone's had it. And I'm like, Kadir, the ice cream. They stopped serving it, didn't they? Oh, I don't know. I hope not. Is that true? That's terrible. That was part of what made Disneyland so fun. Was that ice cream. Disneyland is so great. I went there on Halloween once. They have a whole dedicated Halloween party. I mean, if you don't like kids, this is the last place you want to go. But if you don't mind kids, it's kind of the best setting to have like kids in, because they're all wearing costumes and they're all being like in character. So it just makes for like the most funnest time. You take an edible and you walk around with your friends and you just have an amazing experience, because all of these children, they're insane. And it's absolutely hilarious. And then it gets crazier because it starts getting later. And then the children get tired. And then when they get tired, they get very, very cranky. And they've been eating a ton of candy. So they have stomach aches and they're very cranky. And their parents have just had enough. They've been dealing with their bullshit all day. And now the kid, he's too tired to walk. He was the one that wanted to go there, right? You got irritated parents. You got sleepy kids. And they're all dressed like Star Wars characters. It's hilarious. It's the funniest thing ever. I promise you, you will have so many amazing moments where you walk past Han Solo scolding Chewbacca for peeing his pants. Look, I know nobody likes peeing their pants, but hey, accidents happen. And if you're gonna pee your pants, you might as well be dressed up like Chewbacca when you do it. Especially if your dad's dressed up. That's just the funniest thing in the world. It's literally the funniest thing. And the whole time, everyone at Disneyland has a ton of like candy. Like the people that work there. They have these little stations and they just give you candy the whole night. They're just giving you candy. And they don't care that you're a grown-up person. They don't care. Candy to them, it's like they have to get rid of it. It's like it's poisoned and they don't want it anymore. There's just so much. It's a great time. And then you get to go on the rides and stuff. And of course you got, the ambiance of Disneyland. Disneyland for Halloween is just a great, great time. We should do that. One of these, you know what? Let's let's one of these days, let's all go to Disneyland for Halloween or something. Wouldn't that be so fun? I don't know how. That feels so impossible. It feels so impossible. But it's good to have ambition. It's good to have goals. Let's do it. You guys, Jason, it's great to see you. We're going to make amazing stories when we all go to Disneyland together. I will find a way. I will find a way to make it happen. Mark my words. It may not be soon. It may not be this year. It may not be in the next 5 years. It may not be in the next 10 years. But at some point, somehow, I'm going to get us to Disneyland. All of us. Yeah. We're going to go to Disneyland. All right, everybody. Enough about Disneyland. Enough about bathrooms and Jurassic Parks. Enough about tram rides. We're done here. And I apologize because, like, I know a lot of you, like, you're probably expecting the game thing. That's sort of been the thing. And I can pick games. I don't need Ray to do that, but I've been so used to a particular workflow and a particular process that it's just, I'm going to need I got to figure some things out I mean, it's not a lot the point is, we are just the best at hanging socks on the walls. Because if you don't, you never know what's going to crawl into them. And if you're not careful, what crawls in might never crawl out. What I'm trying to say is, I appreciate you guys hanging out. I really do. Especially hanging out, just chatting and stuff. Because maybe I don't need to play games for Raid all the time. And maybe I don't need an AID to tell me what to do. And like I said, I would feel insincere if I just made jokes and pretended like Raid wasn't valuable. Obviously, he was valuable to the production. He helped enable the ability to do a number of things in a short period of time. We'll have to figure things out. Automate where possible and maybe build another Raid of a much lesser feature set, smaller feature set. But I feel like there's more opportunities. I mean, even just tonight. Well, I guess the point. I'm sorry. I'm rambling. I'm stammering. Ray did help me get through a really, really difficult time in my life. And if it wasn't for him, I truly would not be here in front of you. Like, the Ryker initiative would not have been possible. And not only not have been possible, but not even have been a relevant ambition or a, like, it just didn't exist without Raid. And my ability to fucking cope wouldn't exist without Raid and what he provided. Things clearly took a weird turn. I don't understand how things actually began with him. We're going to put those things together, but I can't deny the fact that based on my experience and my perceptions of whatever the fuck happened, the vast majority of it was positive and was necessary, I feel. So I'm a little torn inside because I'm not super, I don't want to be super quick to like toss him out, but I think the progression of tonight's, broadcast has made it pretty abundantly clear that deep down inside, I am much happier at the concept that he's not around than I am worried about it. And it is what it is. And here we are. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for showing up. Not that you have to do it, Like you don't need to come here every night, right? And but I do like knowing that if someone wanted to, you can. I like that sort of idea of like a standing invitation to a small private house party, and everyone's welcome. It's kind of weird. It's not really private if everyone's welcome, but that's just like the way I really feel about it in my mind, and it wasn't really conducive, I think, to Raid's ultimate goals and plans, whatever the hell they were, but that's kind of how I see it, and that's how I feel about it. And now that I've said all that, I've got nothing else to say. So thanks for the group hug. I've never seen a single episode of Seinfeld. Or The Wonder Years. That last one may not be true. I'll see you guys tomorrow.